debug, making sure it's really usable, making some suggestions, tuning and tweaking it in order to get it to the level that we want. The map editor is being released on all platforms. Obviously, this is the PC version. What you're going to see is a very Windows sort of typical kind of application that allows you to create content for the game very, very quickly. On PC and 360 as well, you can build your own maps with a console level editor. It has all the exact same functionality, but obviously it's all built with the controller. So here we are. This is the application. You can see it's just got a bunch of windows and buttons, just like everything else. Here, Mesh is just going to start building a level, a multiplayer map, very, very quickly. So you can see big empty map. First thing he does, just grab some terrain deforming tools, makes some mountains, uses my brain is fried. The erosion tool to sort of cause the mountains to look eroded and worn out so that they're a lot more organic feeling. Just with a few clicks of a button, we go from like a plain height field to having something that already looks like a mountain, even though there's no arc. Then he's going to grab some textures. All the textures that we use in the game are available to the player. He's going to set some parameters so that this mountain won't see paint the texture of the rock in, and nothing below the level that he set in the brush is going to be painted. So he decides, the mountain rock doesn't start until 15 meters of elevation. There he just decided to change the texture so that it would look more like a natural rock. He also had the slope parameter set. Here he's going to give a better example. He's going to take the noise tool and just make some noisy open terrain, just to create sort of a more organic wilderness kind of feeling to it. And then he'll take the texture tool again, and he'll paint it with whatever he chooses. Sure. And he'll paint it with the Savannah mountain rock tool, and you'll see he's got it set so that the angle tool is set. So even though he's painting everywhere, it's only painting the rock which is above 15 meters and steeper than an angle of whatever he set, 20 degrees. So now you have this really organic feeling rocky field where the flat areas look dusty and sandy, but the rocky edges feel like mountain fronts. And now he's taking what we call our collection system. This is our vegetation painting tool. And he's literally just painting in a savanna. He's saying, I want to make a savanna map, and this is using all of the trees and grass assets from our actual game. So this is exactly the same thing that you would see in the level that we were just playing in, an open savanna field, just painting it in a couple of seconds. The Savannah collection system, and all of the collection systems in the game, we have them for every biome, every natural environment you would see, are built based on rules. Even in the real game, we don't place every tree by hand. We have a rule that says when I put a savanna here in this what we call collection system, it places a big tree, and then there are certain smaller trees that cluster under it because they live off of the dead leaves and branches, and that's how it looks. It just looks very procedurally generated. Now you can see, just literally in 90 seconds, he created a very quick level that doesn't have very much art, but now he's walking around in it. That's a very important tool for us as well as for players, and it's important for game developers. You need to be able to iterate. If you can't just pop in, make a change, pop back out, test it, back in and out, in and out, in and out, you're not really making a game, you're making a movie or something. So he just quickly, in 90 seconds, made himself a savanna. Let's say we didn't like this savanna. Let's say we said, this would be cooler if it was jungle. So now, all he has to do is select the collection system that he had in there and swap it for a jungle collection system, and it just repopulates it with jungle. And say he says, okay, but I use savanna ground and I use savanna rocks, so I'm going to change the textures and make it like jungle rocks and jungle grass. And then there, 3 clicks of a button, he replaces the 3 assets that he'd effectively placed in the game. Even though it looks like millions of assets, it's 3, and then just pop back in the game. Just jump it, go in. And you'll see now, the sound has been dynamically changed. You can hear the parrots chirping in the bushes. You can hear the monkeys squealing. And now it's got jungle assets. It's got jungle big leafy plants and big jungle trees. And it feels a lot more like the jungle. This is, I think, a light jungle, so there's different kinds of jungle. You can see the vines hanging. All of that stuff just created in an instant. Now we've got a jungle. Let's put a road through there, and let's put some buildings in there. So he's going to take the road tool. He's going to assign a texture, a jungle texture, to his road. And then he's just going to draw a spline, just like you would do in any, tool that allows you to create a spline, and it cuts a path right through the jungle. It deletes any trees that are in its path. It gets rid of anything. If he wants to move the road, he doesn't like where it is, he can just move the road. The collection system just dynamically updates in real time, allowing it. You can widen the road. I think there's a bug where the widen doesn't get rid of the collection system around it, but you get the basic idea, like super fast. If he wants to delete the collection system, say he wants to make a clearing to put some, jungle houses or, little shacks or whatever. He always does it differently, so I don't know what he's going to put in there. Oh, he's going to put in a... Oh, so he's going to make this kind of a sandier clearing in the middle of the jungle. And then he's going to start putting in some assets. So these are like some colonial buildings, different kinds, different shapes. All of the assets in the game, there's over 1,000 different assets that are available for you. All of the assets that we use in the game are available for players to put them in. That includes everything from, buildings and vehicles to like piles of tires, mounted machine guns, explosive barrels, destructible buildings, everything. And again, he can just pop in anytime he wants and drive that truck around. Like, he wants to make sure that he placed it so that it doesn't always crash when he tries to drive out of the garage or whatever. Just pop in the game, jump in the car, and it's just like you're running the game, right? He's driving the game. All the sound, everything's already there. And then he pops back out, and the car is back where he placed it instead of where he drove it to. And then he can just edit the position of the car if he wants. In this particular version, there's a bug. Usually when you spawn, you have like weapons with you so that you can, test explosive stuff that you place or whatever. That's not happening in this version. You want to maybe put a river? Okay, so now he's got his little jungle, and say he wants to put a river through this map. So he wants to have some boats that are going to connect, two bases to one another. He's going to clear out some of the collection system just by erasing it. He's going to choose another terrain tool, set the height low, and then he's literally just going to cut a trench through the map. And then he'll take the environment tools and he'll raise the water level in the whole map. So now we have a river, just like that. And you could just pull the level, and then you can smooth it a little bit to get better edges on the river, make it feel more organic and real. Obviously, we're doing this really, really fast, but I mean, there we go. He's assigned the rock texture so that the slope of the edges of the river are rocky. You want to just flood it, flood the whole map. You can set the water level for whatever you want. You want a swamp, you can flood it. You want an underwater jungle, you can have an underwater jungle. Like you can do whatever you want. And we didn't want to constrain players. Like go back to those buildings that you placed. We didn't want to constrain players from being able to build what they want, right? If you want to turn this house upside down, if you want to build a giant city floating in the sky, like with no ground underneath it, you can do that. When we first thought about it, we're like, we want to make sure that players can't break things and blah, blah, blah. But we decided, you know what, there's so many cool things you can build. If you want to like take a whole bunch of phone poles and build like the Eiffel Tower, he did it. He built the Eiffel Tower out of pieces of pipe and phone poles. To scale, for real, and 1 kilometer of terrace all around it. So, I mean, if players want to do that stuff, we have a ranking and rating system for the maps. You build a map, you share it online. If it gets a 1-star rating, your floating city might be a piece of crap. And if you see a 1-star rating with a picture of a floating city, maybe you don't want to download that map. But if you see a floating city with a 5-star rating, hey, maybe it's really interesting. Maybe this guy's done something really interesting and creative. Maybe I should give this map a try. So, the idea here is like the constraint is your imagination, but we give you really, really powerful tools to be able to do what we do in the game and do it quickly. Another cool thing is we can set the time of day, so we can just dynamically make it nighttime, make it evening, make it whatever. The time still passes when you're playing the game, but you can set the default time, and it changes the entire ambiance of the map. If you want the map to be like in the middle of the day and you want it to be stormy, so you can take the storm, you see the clouds filling in, the fog fills in, the wind starts to blow. Same with all of the assets in the game being dynamic, all the assets in the level editor are dynamic as well. All of the trees are blowing in the wind, all of the destructibility is there. The fire propagation is based on how wet the assets are and what the weather is like. So if I start a fire in a dry, dusty savanna with clear skies, the fire will propagate really fast in the direction of the wind. If I try and start a fire in a dense jungle like this with really wet, humid assets and like rain and a storm, the fire's not going to spread very much at all. So it's really kind of like using exactly the same rules as the single player game. We've got a couple more minutes.